Cody Matthews, the Iron Man, is calling in. Let's get him on here. He said he was gonna call in a few minutes early, and he's joining me right now. The Iron Man out of WCCW Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Cody Matthews joining me right now. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing real good, and thank you for being on this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Cody, let's go ahead and get started, man, and talk a little bit about yourself and how did your wrestling career got started.
Uh, you know, my grandfather and my dad started taking me when I was told by people when I was about 3 or 4 years old. But I still remember and going when I was about 7 years old. They took me to the Frankfurt Civic Center, which is where the Pop-Ups used to run. They ran ICW. The roster that they had there was just amazing with Randy and Lanny and Rick Rogers, and all these guys, man, they were great. And then also they took me to the Thornhill Education Center, the little independent store that ran there with guys like Tommy Gunn and Bobby Blade and all those guys. And they just put on these wonderful shows. You had to get there. Show didn't start till 7. You had to get there like 4 o'clock just to get a seat. And I just fell in love with it, just being taken and watching those guys. And and then when I was about 17, somebody was running some guard armoring for a company called CWA with Terry Allen and Tony Johnson and Purple Hayes and those guys. And I started staying around, helping, cleaning up the building, putting up chairs, whatever they needed me to do. And then when I turned 18, Purple Hayes was still in town, and he said, "Hey, I'm opening up this wrestling school, and this is what you need to do for me to train you." So he started my training. That's how I got started.
Do you remember the first match you ever had?
I actually do. I was a referee at Bad to the Bone Wrestling, which Joe Bailey took great care of me when I first started. After I broke away, and like I said, I was wrestling everywhere, man. I mean, just every company was blowing my phone up. But Joe was running about 7 nights at that time, about 7 shows a month, and just had us booked all the time, everywhere. And one night, at the car full of the Raw Riding together, something happened, and they didn't get there. Some had a car or something, and they put me under a mask as a hard knock kid, which thank you, Brandon Query. He gave me my first gimmick, and ran with it really well. But first match ever was against the BBW Heavyweight Champion, Todd Morton.
And obviously nowadays you work for WCCW, that's Wildcat Championship Wrestling, which takes place Saturdays at the Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. You also once upon a time once competed for Ohio Valley Wrestling, correct?
I do, and I still do. Just right now, not with the injury that I suffered. Now that it's better, and I'm going to start going back to Ohio Valley. Great guys up there. I cannot say enough about how well that organization is ran. Everybody from the very top with Jimmy Davis and Frank Miller, Dinsmore and Rick Rogers, all the way down to the guys that sweep the floor up there, man. Just wonderful guy. Every guy up there just took me into the locker room, and they told me what you need to do if you want to stay here and if you want to make it to the next level. And man, I tell people all the time, if you're in this area, you want to get trained to be a professional wrestler, OVW is the place to go. And now, nobody saw today, but along with Nick Dinsmore and Rick Rogers, Douglas Williams has been acting for the training team up there. So
All right. Again, I'm joined with the Iron Man Cody Matthews right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Um, talk a little bit about WCCW and talk a little bit about the show.
All right. Well, right now I'm on a mission to close down WCCW. They've done some of my friends very dirty. They've done me dirty. With some backstabbing politics, and well, I mean, let's just it's the owner of the company, Booth, who decided to go out and get a wrestling or a promoter's license and a wrestling license. He went down to Spirit and said, "Oh, I have $425, so I'll be a promoter now." I mean, and I just, and that is just one of the very big cancers of this business is guys like Bobby Helton and the people that run that company, and it's my mission right now to make sure that we'll run shows anymore. But along with that, there's some great talent there. Alex Angel, Devin Daniels, one of the best up and coming guys I know. I mean, Devin, I can't say enough about Devin Daniels, about Nick Cross, just all the guys that are working their butts off, to make it better. I'm not gonna lie. Saturday night, Matt Rayburn, Devin Daniels, they're one of the best matches that I've sat and watched in a long time. I mean, they went out there and they threw a half down. And we had the TJ Lightning last Saturday night. Black Ring was sold to me. He came from behind. So it's a very unsafe work environment at WCCW. But there are some great ones, Frank the Tank, Bob Murdoch, very good friend of mine. Jimmy Lamb's there. But, I mean, there's some really good guys in the locker room. I just wish the promoter wasn't such an idiot.
So, with the falling out with WCCW, you're going to be looking to wrestle for other companies such as UWF or Georgetown or any other companies?
Man, I've always had a philosophy that was taught to me a long time ago, and that's have boots and will travel. My gear's always packed. My phone rings constantly for promoters who want me to come and do their shows. Now that my knee's better, I'm going to get back on the road some. But UWF in Georgetown, another just phenomenal show in this area. I mean, Brian Beach and Larry D and, Triple R and Bobby Blade. And, I mean, the list goes on and on. Jim Chadwick is doing such a phenomenal job putting that show together and bringing those guys in, bringing the female talent in from all over the place. Amazing Maria and Little Naughty and Mary Elizabeth Monroe and Heather Owens. I mean, just the list goes on and on there also. For anybody that doesn't know, the UWF runs every Sunday night in Georgetown, Kentucky. Doors open at 6 o'clock and bell time is 6:30. And they're at the Georgetown Flea Market there, And like I said, man, if you're in the Georgetown area or anywhere close, get over there on Sunday nights. And their big thing is bringing it back old school, and they're doing a great job of that. And then another company is a company who I feel at one time in my career, man, I had just this huge ego, and I'll tell anybody this, I sucked. I mean, I did. And I had an ego about myself, and just a lot of people didn't like to be around me. And then Chris Hayes at the NWA took me in, and I got to work with guys like Kelly Charles and Larry D and Shane Parker, and I mean, just the Steels, the Greens. I mean that list is just one right after another about the guys that helped me when I got there. Jim Chadwick, Scott Hayes, Chris Hayes himself, and that's at the MWA, the Mountain Wrestling Alliance, and they're starting to run their shows again. They have a big show coming up in Winchester at the Fannie Bush Elementary, and then they're also, I hear they're maybe coming back to Nicholasville, Kentucky soon, so if you get a chance, get out to an NWA show. You may see Cody Matthews there. For sure, Georgetown at the UWF. Um, and like I said, just watch. There's going to be a lot of good things coming to the state of Kentucky, and I hope to be a part of it. There's going to be a big Apex here before too long, I hear, throughout the state. So, just watch for my name on a flyer. Just add me on Facebook. I try to add on all the fans that I can. And so, man, I plan to be just about everywhere now that my knee's healed up good.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you, Cody, but we have a caller on the line. Caller 606. You are live on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mr. Ironman Cody Matthews a question.
And what's your name, sir, and where you from?
Ace Tribo, Frankfort, Kentucky.
All right, the floor is yours, man. Well, go ahead and ask your question.
So, Cody, how's Sons of Chaos belts doing?
They actually look pretty good sitting in a trash bag over on my floor.
I'll see you Saturday night at WCCW. I think we're going to get those belts back.
I very seriously doubt it, but you can sure come try. For sure, nobody there could get the job done this past Saturday.
No, it's because my partner got injured. You left Black Rain laying, and I wasn't there. But I'll be there this Saturday.
Not only did we leave Black Rain laying, we also left that goof promoter, Bobby Helton, laying. I mean, the whole company's just crumbling, just crumbling, and but Jed, you're more than welcome to come and try to do whatever you need to do there, buddy. Oh, no, actually you can't. You know why? Because I quit. Because I no longer want to work for that idiot. So, but anytime you want to try to meet me and come after these belts, I'm around.
I'll find you.
All right, and thank you for calling in.
No problem.
You have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Again, I'm joined with Cody Matthews here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Let me ask you this, Cody. Who do you consider some of your favorite wrestlers you like being in the ring with?
Again, that's a long list, but I'll try to get through some of them. Without a doubt, Iron Man Rob Conway. We have packed every building we've ever been in. We've had great matches against each other. He brings out the best in me. He's, without a doubt, one of the top talents that I've ever personally been in the ring with myself. Also legendary Larry D. Every time you wrestle him, it's like getting hit by a truck, but wrestling is always great. Honest Donnie Green, another one that just, he pulled everything out of me when everybody was like, God, this guy's just not any good at all. Donnie always took care of me. The Steels, I always had great matches with them. Once again, man, I'm all about the young guys, and there's so many of them out there, and so many of them that I've enjoyed being in the ring with. Matt Rayburn and Devin Daniels and Nate Cross, and I hope to get back in the ring with those guys again, very soon. But, like Todd Morton, my very first match ever. Not only that, but, we got to have a few more matches, too. He was always really good. Bull Payne is another guy that and I have no idea why, because he's always been great to me. Always had really good matches with Bull. Always took great care of me. So many guys just, I'm not getting in the ring with him. I'm not getting in the ring with him. And, like I said, I always had really good matches with him.
And
another young guy is ATM. I mean, we clicked really well, and then Bo Bond up in the NWA. Everybody on the NWA roster that I've ever got to work with is really good. I'm sorry, buddy. Were you going to say something?
No, you go ahead and continue.
All right. and then all the OVW guys. I had the great pleasure of getting to work with Rob Terry and Jesse Goddard from up there, and those guys, they're monsters, but just so good. Jesse is just fluent, and Paradise. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on over the years who I've gotten the pleasure of being in the ring with. Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Man, I don't know if your show is long enough for me to talk about all the great guys I've been in the ring with and the great matches I've had.
Well, that's quite a list out there, especially in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky has a great reputation of helping molding a lot of talented wrestlers that's out there from the indie scene to the pros. You being one of them. Now, what are some other goals you like to set for yourself? You obviously know by now that OVW is now a developmental territory for Impact Wrestling. Is that something that you would consider doing if you were to go back to OVW full time?
I would love to be with that company full time. Like I said, just everybody in that company from top to bottom has always been really good to me. And of course, it's everybody's goal to try to make it to the next level. And, if it was possible, I would love to. But I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Some immediate goals would be, of course, to continue my mission to shut down WCCW and just to bring great matches to the fans. Whether they love me, they hate me, but just to bring great matches out there is one of my immediate goals. But I would love to.
All right.
Absolutely, anything with OVW, man, is just going to be, just going back there and learning, because there's so many guys there. Like I said, Paradise, somebody I've learned from. Excuse me, and Ted McNaylor, somebody else, and Adam, and I mean, just the list goes on and on. Every time I'm there, every one of those guys takes the time to sit down and talk to me. And just my goal is just to get better and to hopefully my knee will hold up so I can do this for a few more years and just to bring great matches to this area. And I'd like to travel a little bit more than I have. I've trying to keep myself off the road for the last few years. Used to be able to do this 5 or 6 days a week, but now I would love to, I've got some guys in West Virginia and people I'm talking to in Ohio. And so, just to get back on the road a little bit is one of my more immediate goals also.
And what do you consider as the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
I'm sorry, say it again, buddy.
What do you consider as the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
I would have to say probably a match that I had with Rob Conway down in Somerset, Kentucky. Big house that night. It just had a big match feel. And, just that first night that I got to be in the ring with him. And then also the first night that I got to walk out the curtain at OVW. And then, just the number of titles that I've won is just getting to do what I love to do and being in there with the great guys, man. That's always,
And what do you think is the pros and the cons of being an indie pro wrestler?
I would say the pros are the experience that you get, getting to go. There's not many territories out there anymore. Right? There's very few, actually. Luckily, I got to break in at the end of the territory system. There's still some out there. But I think the experience that you get, and also being on the indie scene and not just going straight to like some type of developmental camp really helps out because, you know, places like Ring of Honor, another great company ran by another just really stand-up guy, and Jim Cornette, another guy that's never once not helped me when I've got to be around him. And those guys, and you know, they look at you more if you know you're signed somewhere, and then you're locked in. You know, you can't go travel. You can't. You know, some of the indie guys that I know, you know, they pick up and they go to Japan, they go to Germany, and you know, wherever they want to go. And you know, if you're signed to one of the two big companies, you can't just go wherever you want to. You know, you're restricted by them. But then one of the cons would be the travel is a lot harder when you're on the independent level. The money's not as good. It's not guaranteed. You know, when you sign with one of the big companies, then your money's there. You know it's always going to be there. You know, and another con on the independent scene, especially over the last few years, I've noticed is a lot of promoters have just, you know, you get to a show, you go out there and you do what's asked of you, and then, oh, well, sorry guys, the money's not there. You know, it does happen, but a lot of times you get screwed more on the independent scene than, like I said, if you're signed with the big companies, then you know your money's there.
You know, promoters in general, you know, not all of them, but majority of them, I mean, they could be shady every now and then. Look, if you're gonna book some people, you better pay them up front. If you can't pay the people that put their bodies on the line so that you, the promoter, can have a good company, have a good show and everything, then you know don't waste your time. You know, it's just unfortunate that promoters, they want you to do something and then they do their part and they don't return the favor, you know. It's very unfortunate.
Absolutely, man, and it happens, you know, more and more. I mean, I just don't know what guys, you know, what we can do about it, but, you know, I mean, we could start by just, you know, if one guy tells you got screwed, you know, don't go get booked right at that show, you know. Like I said, I've never, you know, I've always been taken care of. I've had the privilege of working with some great promoters like Chris Hayes and Brian Logan over in West Virginia. And, you know, like I said, Chris Hayes at the MWA, Jim Chadwick up at the UWF, Jim Chadwick and Felony and Cujo. And then, you know, and there for a while, you know, Santa always took really good care of all of us. Bobby Helton down there at WCCW, and then, you know, he just kind of got out of the way. And, I mean, like I said, I've had the privilege at OVW, you know, of just working for guys where I've gotten taken care of money-wise. But then, you know, there's been a few times we've driven 4 or 5 hours, and then, you know, the show be canceled and the promoter not even call you. You know, you get to the building and there's a sign, show canceled tonight. So.
So, what would your advice be to anyone that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler? What would your advice be, Cody?
Oh man, go to a good training school. That is the best advice I can give anybody. You know, go find a top-notch school, and they're out there, man. I mean, the few I can think of off the top of my head is, you know, OVW, and then FCW down in Florida, the Dudley's Training School, the Monster Factory is still around, the Shakar Training School. I mean, there's really good schools out there. So go get trained well. Go get trained by somebody very reputable. You know, the MWA has a good training school. You know, just don't go and give your money to somebody and then, oh, okay, you know, you go to 3 training sessions and, oh, okay, well, we got your money, now you're a wrestler. You know, go to a school that you know has a good name and get trained Make sure you go all the way through training. Don't go to 5 or 6 training sessions. Say, oh, okay, I'm going to go get on the road now. I'm a wrestler. Go all the way through the school, get trained as well as you can before you put yourself out there so you don't hurt yourself or hurt anybody else.
Now that I think about it, I think that's the knock on a lot of wrestlers is that people are so eager to go out there and put matches together, want to be in matches, and when the bell rings, they don't even know what the hell they're doing. They just go out there thinking, okay, a few training seminars or whatever, and I'm good to go. I mean, for some wrestlers, it takes months. It may take years to perfect their craft. I mean, do you think that maybe some wrestlers get too caught up, want to get to work right away, and they end up not knowing what they're doing?
I do. I do think that happens quite a bit. I think, especially if they don't pay all of their money up front or a good chunk of their money up front, that's another thing you can tell about a good training school is that they don't, I've been around, and some of these guys that are supposedly training people take $20 up front, and then they start training them. Well, of course, whatever you invest your money into, you're going to have more of an investment. The good training schools, they take a good chunk of money up front, and then that way you have something invested. If you spend $500, you're more likely to come back and come back and come back because you have $500 invested, which nowadays is a lot of money. But if you got some guy that's just going to train you for, $20, then, I mean, okay, you go to one training session, and I mean, there's some guys that give really good seminars. I mean, phenomenal seminars. But you still need to be trained on top of those seminars, and the guys will tell you that. The Austin Aries seminar, he worked with those guys very well up there in Illinois, but then he told them, if you haven't been trained, go to a good training school, and guys like that really want to help the business, but like I said, when you invest your money, you're more likely to come back and finish than, if you take like a small chunk down, or if you have to pay it all up front. I mean, that's what I did, and that's what a lot of guys do.
Again, I'm joined with the Iron Man, Cody Matthews, right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And my last question for you, Cody, is how can people get in touch with you? Go ahead and promote your Facebook, Twitter, or any other links that people need to know.
Sure. You can get a hold of me on Facebook. It's just under Cody Matthews. Like I said, I try to add all the fans and, and everybody that I can, really. And then also, I am on Twitter at Cody Matthews. I'm trying to think. That's really the two best ways to get a hold of me. Because I do check those on pretty much a daily basis. And then, any promoters out there, if you need my phone number, just hit me up on Facebook, and I'll be glad to send it to you. Or or a lot of people have it, so just ask around, and then check me out, man. Just watch for the flyers. If you see Cody Matthews on the show, come out, say hello, say how you doing, how you doing. Because I love interacting with the fans. Like I said, whether they love me or hate me. So.
All right, and be on the lookout for Cody on Facebook and on Twitter. And since things ain't working out between him and WCCW, he's gonna be working in other companies. And I hope that I'll see you in UWF at some point. Chadwick's been trying to hear from the fans on who do they want to see compete in UWF, and I'll put my name out of the hat by saying get Cody Matthews in UWF. Make that happen. Let's get Cody Matthews in Georgetown. Before I let you go, Cody, I ask all guests to do this. It's like a station ID. It's like a voice drop. All you have to do is say your name, and what after you say your name, you say you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
All right, buddy, no problem. Hey, Kenny, thank you for having me on. Also, as you're putting me out there, I'd also like to throw out, Cody Matthews and Christian Skyfire. We're getting ourselves back together. So anybody looking for a good tag team, hey, there's a tag team tournament coming up in Georgetown. So Jim Chadwick, if you're listening, Cody Matthews and Christian Skyfire, put us back out there. But this has been Iron Man Cody Matthews, and you're listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Best of success goes out to you, and you tell Skyfire I'll be happy to interview him as well in the future.
All right, buddy, I'll do it. Thanks again, Kenny.
You have a good night.
You too, buddy.
All right, bye-bye. That was the Iron Man, Cody Matthews, joining me here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.